Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MP. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Hey.
We're going to change up the formula a little bit this week. We're going to jam in all of Raw, SmackDown, and NXT that we can before our song, because when we come back to it, I did want to dedicate a little bit of time. I know we don't usually do this. A little bit of spice on the end to talk about AEW's All Out pay-per-view that they just had. But we are going to start off with Raw, and we are going to start off with the Marathon Tag Team Turmoil match that ran throughout the night. I'm just going to run top to bottom on the results just to catch everybody up if you didn't watch it. The New Day beat the Viking Raiders, then the New Day beat Mahal and Veer, then the New Day beat the Lucha House Party, and then the New Day beat Mason T-Bar, and then we jumped on later in the night, and then the New Day beat Ali and Mansoor, and then Styles and Omos upset the run to defeat the New Day. And then as a last-minute addition, Lashley and MVP show up, take out the entire match just by picking up one win and earn themselves a tag team title opportunity.
Yeah, that's going to be real interesting, especially since they also announced that Lashley's next opponent is Randy Orton.
They both thought it would be cool to be double champ.
Yeah.
And we knew, obviously, that Goldberg-Lashley was going to be something down the line, probably in the October show. So we were questioning, who was going to be that Extreme Rules opponent. And I'll be honest, before this week, I don't think I would have picked Randy Orton.
No, but it makes sense. And they also did something else with this match, too. They started hinting at a main event run for Omos. Because Omos chokeslammed the WWE champion.
Yeah, it's a pretty big target for him to go straight at. And yeah, who knows what's going to happen with Omos after the AJ Styles stuff eventually comes to an end. I personally don't think Lashley and MVP are going to pick up the titles just because RK Bro just got them. But I also don't see Randy Orton picking up the WWE Championship either.
Yeah, so I think it's a fair match, just set of matches just to have each champion retain. But still, there'd be an element of question about each one match.
I don't know I don't think we got a date on the Raw Tag Team title opportunity, but I believe the WWE opportunity is going to be at Extreme Rules. Not 100% sure on that as well either. But potentially we could see them both on the same night.
Yep, absolutely. I do think that this is a situation where I think it's more about building for the future, while also making sure Lashley remains strong. And besides, as they always say, it only takes one to end a championship reign.
One ain't enough, I need 5.
Well, the thing is that it could be that the 3 most dangerous letters in WWE could end up resulting in Big E becoming champion.
Yeah. I'll keep crossing my fingers for that cash-in, because the New Day, you would have just heard me mention their name a whole lot talking about that Tag Team Turmoil match. They ran through the division.
Yeah, they certainly did. By the way, how about the pop when Omos tagged in? I think it's a case like what we were talking about Riddle and potentially getting the briefcase, which Big E won.
Mm-hmm.
The crowd was beginning to get momentum behind Riddle.
Yeah.
It's the same way it's working. This whole thing with AJ has worked wonders for Omos. Omos has shown he can do a few things. He doesn't have to be a 5-star wrestler every single match, because that's not his body type. Let's face it, guys that are 7 feet tall aren't going to put on a 5-star match unless your name is The Undertaker.
Yeah.
But you can still have competitive, really good stories. You can have great matches, even if they're not, quote-unquote, 5 stars.
Yeah, I think it might be the cliched thing, right? But the obvious storyline path, at least for Omos's first single storyline, will be some form of breakup with AJ Styles. And that should be able to show Omos, we've said it a million times, right? Styles could wrestle a broom and do amazing. So put him in there with Omos, and presumably they're going to come out with a bit of gold. Not championship gold, obviously. A golden match.
Yeah, so I think this is the beginning of the Rocket Pack being strapped to Omos. And who knows, he may have himself a Diesel moment where he beats Bobby Lashley in 8 seconds and wins the title.
It's possible. We can't count it out.
Yep.
But now we're going to just jump over to SmackDown because we had the Universal Champion in action up against Finn Balor. The Demon King not able to seal the deal.
Nope. At least not this version of him.
That's true. I erroneously referred to him as the Demon King. I believe he's the Prince at the moment. I was getting ahead of myself here because will we see the return?
It's likely. Questions all have to do with Brock Lesnar.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what what everything is going for here. I mean, Balor would be really made a mega star if he could take down Reigns, even if he had to go the demon route to do it. I don't think Brock really cares one way or the other for the title, if it's involved or not. But all the teases and everything it's dealt with, I think they're telling a fantastic story right now, and that Finn's in a good spot, even if he didn't manage to win the title here.
I guess the question is, if Finn Balor does pull out the Demon King, if the demon comes out of him at Extreme Rules, will we see a new Universal Champion, or do you think that Roman Reigns could topple the demon?
I'm going to cop out and say both could happen. Either one could happen. Reigns is on such a hot streak, I could see him being the first person on the main roster to beat the demon.
Mm-hmm.
That said, the demon has supernatural powers, seemingly. And hasn't lost on the main roster. Lost in NXT, but it hasn't lost on the main roster. It could very well be the way they take the title off of Reigns, with maybe some help from Lesnar. And then we get a Reigns Lesnar match with no title at some event down the road. And Balor gets to be the undisputed king of SmackDown.
Hopefully this time he'll hold the Universal Championship for a little bit longer.
Yeah, they hold it for 25 hours instead of 24.
Sounds fair. You mentioned there, obviously, Finn Balor lost as the Demon King on NXT. Then I'm going to use that as my segue to move on into NXT, because we had quite a few cool segments throughout the night surrounding this bachelor party, bachelorette party, and this upcoming wedding of Dexter Lumis and Indy Hartwell / indie wrestling.
What can we say? NXT knows how to make hilarious comedy segments, and as we go into our eventual reboot, this is a great way to end out the original segment with probably the most iconic thing that wrestling can do that's not involved in matching in a match. Just a wedding that you know is going to go wrong. Something's going to go wrong. And unfortunately for Lumis, he's going to end up being left at the altar somehow.
What if it doesn't? What if it just works out for them?
Then it wouldn't be a wrestling wedding.
Okay, I guess. We'll have to wait and see, as you say. Next week is that debut episode of the reboot, the new branding, the new everything, and who knows what it is going to hold, but I believe you are probably right here. It does not hold happiness in the future of Dexter Lumis. But at least he got a little bit this episode where he was able to high-five Johnny Gargano and bond with his future father-in-law for even a moment.
Yeah, this is just hilarious.
You reach the highest highs before you fall to the lowest lows. Also on NXT, we've got a title match set up for next week. as a part of that reboot as well, Frankie Monet will be getting an NXT Women's title shot. We keep talking about, in Raquel running through the entire division and no one really being left. Is Frankie Monet the person who is going to take the belt off of Raquel Gonzalez?
Possible, but I think the person that might do it wrestled their first match on NXT this week.
Are you talking about the downright scary leader of Tien Sha?
Yeah, Mi Ying? Yes, I am.
Yep. If she chooses to go for the title, I don't think anybody can stop her.
They certainly couldn't knock her off her feet in this first match.
We just got to see, I guess, how she develops, right? Because she's got this creepy aura around her as sort of this unstoppable force. And if you just look at like Boa and Xia Li by her side, they were pretty formidable on their own. So when you look at two people who have been as dominant as they have, and then you look at their leader, who is even stronger, it seems as though they're going to get whatever they want, and Raquel should really hope that what they want isn't the NXT Women's Championship.
Yeah, I think that's the eventual... They have to at least have somebody from that group try to get gold. Otherwise, what's the point of the group in general? And with
dominate and torment.
And with Xia Li injured, they have to now run with Ying.
Yeah, well, you asked, what's the purpose of that group? What's the future of that group? I also have no clue. They've been around for quite a while now, and I just hope that in the rebrand and in the reshuffle that they don't get lost, because I'm all behind Xia Li, at least in the main, and so if they continue what they're doing with her with Ying, I'm sure it's going to be great, and another part of my sort of favorite parts of NXT. And then the last match of NXT prior to the rebrand, we got a title match. I do wonder if we're going to end and start with a title match, but MSK, they successfully defended their NXT Tag Team titles once again, this time against Burch and Lorcan. Who's going to take down MSK at this point? Because it looks like Pete Dunne and Ridge Holland want next.
I have no idea, really. All I can tell you this is that MSK is starting to run out of opponents to face, because they've beaten pretty much everybody who's come up to them. That said, yeah, I could see Dunn and Holland facing them, and definitely be. But I have a feeling that since they turned on Lorcan and Burch, they're going to feud with each other, so that leaves MSK without an opponent right now.
True.
I guess they could just revert to Ciampa and Thatcher again.
Because it does seem like a lot of their opponents are intertwined with each other already. Like Hit Row are already still going up against Legado del Fantasma, which takes out two of the teams as well. As you say, if Dunn and Holland will be going up against Burch and Lorcan, that takes out another two teams. It's not necessarily that they are completely out of contenders, it's just their contenders are a little busy at the moment.
Yeah, and it's also possible they could be just waiting, buying their time until they build the Creed brothers up enough to be able to face the champs.
Maybe that's going to be the gold that the Diamond Mine is able to capture first.
Yeah, because they dominated in a tag team match the Creed brothers did against local competitors. Quotation marks.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what is going to be the future, especially heading into this rebrand, to see what changes up. It's hard to look too far into the future when we don't quite know where all the chips are going to land next week. But because we don't believe that we're going to be able to celebrate the wedding next week, we're going to prematurely play Dexter Lumis's entrance theme this week, because I'm sure he will not be celebrating 7 days from now. So that theme is planned for you now. And you're back to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MPR. I'm Grady, he's Josh, and we've still got a little bit of a chunk of the show to go, just to talk about some AEW stuff, and some things that happened at All Out. I'll just jump in at least a main part here, the Casino Battle Royal. 21-woman Battle Royal. Winner gets a women's world title shot. A lot of good talent in this match. I ended up going back and watching this again. Quite enjoyed it. Anna Jay returning the week before. Jamie Hayter starting to get a bit more ring time in there as well. But ultimately, the winner of that match, Ruby Soho, formerly known as Ruby Riott, after making her debut, and going to be going up against Dr. Britt Baker.
Running theme, folks. It's just another ex-WWE person to shove down their current rosters another peg down with this. Although, in Ruby's case, we both agreed she deserved more than what she got in WWE. So, and we were fine. I think you even said, if she goes to AEW, it'll be fine, because they need more bodies in their women's division anyway. But then they do this. They could have had her come out, start storylines, and work her way up the card. Nope, they have her debut in a battle royal with a title match on the line and wins it.
I'm going to be the voice of positivity throughout this. I realized very quickly. But I will also note this week on Dynamite, straight after this, she got her butt kicketh by the dentist's office as a whole, and had some friends come to the save, Chris Statlander and Riho, if I'm not mistaken. I think, if anything, ignoring the title shot, which personally I don't think she will actually end up winning, there was just so many potential matchups that you saw in those sort of final matches, and the final two, Ruby Soho and Thunder Rosa, even though we only got to see them go at it for a little while at that end of that Battle Royal, still a very interesting match that I would love to see. Both of them amazing talents in that women's division. Just because sometimes I want to give Josh a little bit of ammo. Sometimes I don't. This time I do. You want to talk about how Paul White just sort of punched QT Marshall a little bit?
Yeah, we have a 50-year-old that just squashed one of their young guns. It's in 3
QT
minutes.
Marshall ain't that young.
Yeah, but he compared to Paul White, he is.
Look, it was a match on the card. That's my only comment on it. For a card that was full of amazing matches and stuff that I enjoyed top to bottom, Paul White being the second to last match, just sort of squashing QT, not necessarily on the top of my list of moments to talk about, but I thought I'd give you a little bit of ammo.
Well, you know exactly why it was there. It's to cool the crowd down from the previous match before the final match.
That's true. They were pretty hot after they got the in-ring return of CM Punk taking on Darby Allin.
Yeah, I totally should taunt Darby Allin while I see him at the convention this weekend with CM Punk chants.
It was a good match. There's still obviously a little bit of cobweb, but everybody's gonna have that after 7 years. I think the pacing was probably the biggest cobweb for me watching it, but overall, great return. Both of them remained faces. There was no turn, no just about swore there. No ducky stuff happening. Nice and easy, and presuming both of them will move on from this, and this will be the one and done for their feud.
Yeah, I will say this: compared to another match on this card, Punk did more for Darby in 6 weeks. It's been, 6 weeks? Or 4 weeks, however long it's been.
The short amount of time.
Yeah. Then Jericho's done from MJF the entire year.
That's an oof.
Yeah. I have yeah, and again, it's more ammunition. It's like, you realize you have a huge talent here in MJF, but you refuse to put him over anybody.
Hold on, did you just say something positive about a member of the AEW roster? Do I have to go ring up the devil and see if hell's frozen over?
No, we've said before, we like MJF.
Yeah, I'm just taking the mic.
Yeah.
I am very confused by this result more than anything. I think we had the 5 labors, we had everything leading up to it. It just made sense if Jericho was going to retire here and MJF was going to be the guy to do it.
Yeah. I think, had it been not that stipulation and not been on the match, I think MJF does win there. But because it would be requiring him to retire, Jericho couldn't lose there.
There's only so many years left on him.
Yes, probably. Honestly, he should have retired a couple years ago, but that's discussion for another time. But yeah, it's just, again, an ex-WWE guy goes over their homegrown talent and just knocks them down in their peg. And what can you say? I mean, it was basically a running thing throughout the entire night.
I will note MJF did go over it, obviously not in the pinnacle match of this feud, but he did go over during the labors of Jericho to get here, which is how the stipulation got on there. Jericho wanted his one last shot. He didn't get through all the labors, so he didn't get there. Sort of storyline, but this was the biggin. This is their WrestleMania, arguably. And so, yeah, I don't know. Chris Jericho's been doing more and more commentary. It seems as though that may be where he ends up. So I personally wouldn't be disappointed if Jericho did go out, last week at All Out and moved into a commentary position, training position, booking position, and stuff like that. I still think he's a great wrestling mind and a lot that he could add to the wrestling business. But as we can say, is you do miles on your body and you've only got so many miles left.
Yeah, what more can we say here? It's just Jericho beating MJF by submission, making him tap out, just making him look weaker. We had the former TNT champion lose to the returning CM Punk, which we all knew was going to happen because there's no way CM Punk loses his first match back after 7 years. But still, it's just an ex-WWE guy beats an AEW guy.
One thing I will note about that Punk and Darby match, just I made my girlfriend watch some Rampage and some Dynamite and stuff, and this was the only match she was hyped for. This was the, if I am missing this match, wake me up so I can come out and watch it match. It was the only thing she cared about. She tuned out and stopped caring when Kenny Omega versus Christian Cage came on. It was all about Punk and Darby.
Yeah, and by the way, I think it would be more. I think the next match for Punk should be. I think if you want to go big matches with Punk, you can't get much bigger than the Legend Sting.
Fair.
It already felt more like it was Punk versus Sting anyway. Just give us the match we want, and that's that. And then yeah, I guess we have to talk about the debut in the AEW World Championship match, don't we?
Yeah, we're running out of time, so I will just quickly run down what happened at the end of the show. It was Kenny Omega versus Christian Cage for the AEW World Championship. Kenny Omega, after about 22 minutes, comes out with the win, defeating Christian Cage. Beatdown segment. Then we get the AEW debut of Adam Cole, jumping ship over, but he decides to join the Elite and helps beat down Jurassic Express. And then we get a second debut to end out the show as Bryan Danielson comes down to the ring, joins the good guys, stands tall at the end of the show. And then this week on Dynamite as well, it seems like there's still this 6 versus 6 kind of feud happening with Jurassic Express, Christian, Frankie Kazarian, and Christian Cage sort of taking on this. And Bryan Danielson taking on this 6 of the Elite as well.
Yeah, somebody needs to remind Adam Cole what happened the last time he dealt with the Elite, because they kicked him out of the group.
Yeah, but he's back now.
Unless they want to do a destroy them from the inside storyline, which they've already done multiple times on AEW. Oh, I said their name.
Oh, no. And I'm not cutting it either. I'm keeping it in there. I'll even loop it 4 more times so that people can hear it. I don't quite know. Obviously, BTE storyline-wise, I think he died and he was a ghost. And they made reference to that, and they had a seance to bring him back on this last episode of BTE as well. In terms of AEW storyline, I guess Adam Cole's never been around. So they just sort of introduce him as an old friend.
All right. I will say, I'll give you an offer for me to actually say their name properly and constantly going forward.
Not accidentally, okay.
Yeah. Put the title on Hangman Page. Prove to me.
We all want it.
Prove to me that you actually do mean what you say, and put the title on a non-ex-WWE guy or non-elite guy.
I think maybe elite, in 6 months you can say it.
And when I say elite, I mean non-VP elite.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'll get back to you in about 6 to 8 months when that finally happens. Because he's got to finish up with the Dark Order first. He's got a cult to go put back together. But someday you'll be able to say AEW regularly on the show. Because someday that will happen. Just probably not anytime soon. I will put you out of your misery, though, because we are actually over time. So it is time to wrap it up. It's been great talking to you.
Bye, B.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/WrestlingRND Up, or our Twitter page, twitter.com/WrestlingRND Up, or our YouTube page, youtube.com/WrestlingRND Up. And we will see you next week.